Hey guys, it's your host Elex, and I just want to say thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mental Mixology. I'm going to set the stage for you guys because we've all had one of those days where literally in the first few minutes of the morning, you're like, let's go back to bed because this is not going to be a good day. A few weeks ago, this training that I've been doing at work, we basically have to get to work right on time because right at 8 o'clock is when we start this training. So with that being said, since I'm not able to do my actual day job, like work at that time, I would normally plan the days that I had this training to come in like 30 minutes to almost an hour early so I could get some of my work done before this training happened. Well, the morning that I did this, I'm waking up like 4:30 in the morning. So this is like, I don't know. It's early for me, at least. The night before, I got my lunch ready. I got my breakfast to go, my coffee maker. I have it set. So all I do is press the make coffee button. I'm a planner. I'm a prepper. I make sure that everything's locked and loaded for 4:30 a.m. when I'm tired and don't want to mess with anything. So my alarm goes off that morning and I wake up and I need to go get something in my office room. So I go walk into the hallway, and when I turn on the lights, I see that one of my picture frames, like it was a beautiful picture frame too. That's why I'm so sad about it. I don't know how I did not wake up in the middle of the night, but it fell off the wall and completely broke. Like glass everywhere, wood everywhere. And obviously, if there wasn't glass and wood shards everywhere that my animals could step on and potentially eat, I would have just been like, you know what? Screw it. We'll clean it later. But I'm like, okay, I can't leave this all day. So I go to walk to go forward to clean up the broken frame. I don't look down and I just feel something squish in between my toes. I stepped in a fucking pile of cat vomit. I'm sorry to curse, but when it's not even 5 o'clock in the morning and two things have already pissed me off this bad, I'm like, today ain't the day. Today ain't the day. So clean up the cat vomit, clean up the whole wooden frame. 20 minutes later, I'm like, okay, we're a little behind schedule, but let's keep going. Well, because of this, I ended up obviously not leaving my house at the time I had wanted to. You know, I'm pulling up to the office a little late. I'm a little frazzled because that's one downside to me is I'm a big planner. So if my plan does not go according to plan, I get a little unhinged, but still good morale. We're okay at this point. But me knowing me, I know I'm on edge at this moment in the day, and it's not even 8 o'clock in the morning. So I get to the office probably about with 20 minutes to get some stuff done. And not only do I have to get work done before I go into this 4-hour training, but the presentation that I'm giving in like 30 minutes, I haven't even gone over today. I haven't even thought about this presentation today. I've had so many other things going on. So I get to the office. I'm like trying to organize everything. I'm like, fudge, I need to go over my presentation. And my little sister walks up to me because she was getting in early too. Well, I mean, I'm a chatty Cathy, okay? Like, I like to talk, and people know I like to talk. And my sister's my best friend, so she comes to me when she needs to talk about anything. Well, when she came up to talk to me, I did not preface, like, hey, I don't have time to talk. I need to run through the presentation and do like 5 other things before we go into our training course. I didn't do that. I should have probably done that because my sister comes up to me and starts talking to me about just an issue per se that she's dealing with. And as I mentioned, I'm already pretty tense at this point, but me and her start going back and forth about what she was talking to me about. And I'm not going to air her business out, but we were disagreeing. Let's just say that. That's the premise of me and my sister's conversation, or my sister and I's conversation. But we were disagreeing, and it got to the point where when I'm going to have an anxiety attack, I feel it because my heart starts racing, my eyes start to flood with tears. I can feel the hyperventilating starting to happen. And in this moment, I look at my sister, I'm like, I can't do this with you right now. Walk out to the bathroom, had an anxiety attack in our employee bathroom. Look at my clock, and it is 7:55. We are off to a roll right now. Oh my goodness. So I did my deep breathing. in the bathroom, kind of wipe the tears away. And I'm like, look, I had this woman in the bathroom and I was at the point where I'm like, you know what? I don't give a brown if someone walks into me having this little conversation with myself. But after I gained control, I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I said to myself, like, Elex, we're not doing this today. We have too much going on. Our day, like, we can't add to the madness with a bad attitude. Like, we've had a lot of negative things happen this morning, but you know what? We are going to continue to think positively. And you know what? Presentation went well. I mean, I don't remember much else of the day, but obviously I remembered the really crappy start to it. But that was the thing. We regained the day. The day did not continue to be as terrible as the morning was. And I say all this because that's my one story of the bad days I have. And I know you are probably thinking to yourself, honestly, and I know I'm not the only one who's woken up and stepped in either dog poop or calf. Like it happens. It doesn't make the suck any less sucky. It doesn't give you the 30 minutes back that you needed for the morning that you no longer have. That you have to be like, you know what? We don't have control over that. You have to move past that point. And that's something that I have been very good about telling myself on the bad days is if something's happened already in the past, there's nothing you can do to change it at this point. So why are we going to be upset? I harp on my sister about that all the time because she will linger. And I will too. I'm not going to say I don't. But if you don't have control over it, and if it happened in the past, there's nothing you can do about it by continuing to think about it or dwell on it. Take it for what it is, figure out if there's something you could have done better. I mean, in this instance, I can't control my cats vomiting on the floor. I can't control, heck, the force of gravity or the fact that command hook strips kind of suck. I don't have control over that. I didn't know that was going to bombard my morning. But like I said, we regained the day and we did not let it just turn the rest of the day into just a shit day. And something to keep in mind too is just because you have a bad day, it doesn't mean you're failing at life. Because as I just stated, there are things that are not in your control that are going to add to a bad day. Like a car accident while you're going to work and it makes you an hour late for work. You can't control that. Could you have sensed that something was going to happen? There's going to be a fender bender on the highway and you were going to be stuck in traffic? No, I think we would all love to have that sixth sense, but it's not possible. So just understand that you don't enjoy the good days as much if you don't have the bad days as well. And I remind myself of that. Now, let's go to the why. Let's talk about the science. What is the science behind a bad day? Okay. So our brains, and I think we've talked about this before, but our brains have this negativity bias. It's basically like our brain is defaulted to think what's the worst that could happen. So your brain is basically a search engine. Okay. And so when you wake up in the morning and you say, this is going to be a bad day, your brain basically wants to find proof to what you just said. It's like, okay, let's prove that it's going to be a bad day. So instead of looking at the good in situations, your brain is going to be looking for the bad. Because it's saying, okay, we have to prove to ourselves that what we said is true and it is going to be a bad day. So the things that you are feeding and telling your brain is really what your outlook and outcome end up being. Because as I mentioned, there are factors in this world that we can't control. You can't let that add to your negative mood. And to be honest, there's things that happen that I control and I could do better about to make it easier on myself. So for instance, I could tell you too, I was going on a girls' trip with my friend and it's our yearly girls' trip to the beach. We go to the Panhandle area, in the Gulf, and I don't know why I thought we were going to Destin. And so less than 24 hours before our flight, I'm on my lunch break at work and my friend's calling me. And to be honest, she normally texts me. If she's calling me, I'm like, it was probably something important. She calls me and she's like, hey, girl, we can still work with this, but you're flying into the wrong airport. We're going to PCB. We're not going to Destin. I can still, because she picks me up from the airport because she drives from where she's from in Georgia. She's like, yeah, hey, we might want to switch this so I don't have to drive longer. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to put that on you. Let me figure this out. So I am in this frenzy and I already have so much going on this day that this happens. I'm like, I don't have time for this. But whose fault is it that we don't have the right flight? It's mine. So that was the other thing is I'm dealing with this chaos. And the whole time I'm like, we're going to figure this out. It is my fault. We live and we learn. We double check this stuff moving forward. And that is the other thing I hit on too, is I will never make the same mistake twice. So when things are negative, when it turns into it, because that's the thing, my day spiraled from that point because it felt like all of these just last minute random things kept coming up. And then, yeah, a day later, literally a day later, I was told that our venue for the walkathon got double booked. We had just gotten to the beach. And when I found out, like, hey, you got double booked, I don't know if you're going to be able to have your walkathon here, even though I've been marketing it for months. I'm not kidding. I was about to spiral. I kept telling myself, you know what? We're at the beach with our friend. We're at the beach with our friend. There's nothing we can do to control this right now. It's happening. We're trying to fix it. We've done everything we can. Let go. And it takes a minute. It takes a minute to get your mind off of things. And I have to be someone where when I have a bad day or something is controlling the narrative of my day, I really have to work to do something that can just kind of distract my brain because it is really hard. So I talk about having control over these things and sometimes, and it takes more than just trying and being cognizant of like, hey, this is pissing me off. It's like, okay, it's pissing me off, but I can't get it to exit my thought process right now. It's good to feel these emotions and understand them for what they are, but distract yourself. Do something to get your mind off of it. It's so beneficial and it helps so much. So as we're kind of moving on to the next bit of science, like I said, if you are having your brain scan for facts to prove what you say is true, make it something positive. Don't have your brain looking for negative facts to prove that you are having a bad day. There's already so much you can't control. Do something with what you can control, and that is your attitude. That is your mindset. You might have to remind your brain, like, hey, come on, snap out of it. We're not doing this today. I do it all the time. The amount of times I have to talk to myself and be like, hey, we're not doing this today. Shake it off, move on, cry it out for 5 minutes, and we're going to keep moving forward. It's about we've mentioned it, being your own coach. I've had to do that for myself so much. I know so many people that have to do that for themselves. You can't expect anybody to be like, hey, snap out of your mood. You got to do it for yourself. I promise it will make you feel like you have more control over your mind, your emotions, and that is empowering, honestly, to say the least. But when you have that control, you get this kind of confidence because it's like, I am not going to fall victim to this, or I won't fall victim to this as much as I normally do. Really having that control is everything. So, and another way too to think of your brain as it's trying to find facts, your brain is not trying to ruin your life. Let me just note that, okay? Your brain is following the prompts you are giving it. Think about AI. I don't know if all my listeners are in touch with AI, but AI basically runs well when you give it the right prompts. Your brain works in the same way. If you give it certain prompts, you're going to get a certain output. And it's the same way with your brain. So then the next layer of this is we talk about bad days. But what about when that bad day is going on to day 2, day 3, day 4, even day 5 in a row? It's, as I mentioned, so easy to have this, why is this happening to me? What is going on? Why do I deserve this? But if you realize that a bad day is starting to have a ripple effect per se, instead of asking yourself, why is this happening to me? I want you to shift the mindset into, what is this telling me? For instance, last week we had our employee training, as I've mentioned. There's a lot going on. And on top of that, I have been waking up at 4:30 every morning and going to bed at 11 o'clock at the earliest. So all of training week, social battery is just humming on empty and good vibes at that moment. I'm not sleeping. I'm barely eating too because we are so busy with training. I'm trying to also work in getting stuff from my day job in, working in things for the nonprofit. It was just a week of chaos and stress. And let's just say our kind patches were really getting us through the week. When I started to see the commonality of the not so great days starting to go back to back, I sat with myself one morning because it was literally Wednesday. And I'm like, I cannot believe it's only Wednesday. I think my head's about to fly off right now. But that was the come to Jesus I had with myself then is, okay, Alex, let's have some grace for ourselves. It's not a bad day. It's not a bad week. We haven't slept. We haven't ate a lot. Our mind is moving 20 million miles a minute. We feel like we're forgetting things. With all of those happening, and I wasn't staying at my house. I was staying with my parents. So I was literally staying out of a packed bag, which me being me, I like being home. Like I just was not in my element. There were a lot of things going on that weren't my usual, and that was throwing me off. So that was hey, have some grace for yourself and realize these factors are affecting what you're dealing with and how you feel. And that's what I mean by asking yourself, what is this telling me? If you see your bad days starting to stack up, write out what's happening. See what common factors contribute to those days to pinpoint like, hey, maybe I'm really sleep deprived. Maybe I haven't had a home cooked meal or a meal period in the past 3 days. maybe I've been working 24-hour shifts the past 3 days. Like, I don't know what the circumstances are for you, but take a step back and see what is contributing to that day. Because, like I said, there might be something going on that you don't account for and you don't give yourself grace for. And you're like, okay, that makes sense. How can you have a bad day when you haven't slept more than 5 hours every night? Ladies, we need like 8 to 9, I think. Men don't need as much. I think men are like 7 to 8, but women need beauty sleep, okay? So it makes it really challenging. Especially too, it's hard to step back from a bad day and not harp on like what other people do or the outside factors that are contributing to that, but also look internally and see what you can be doing for yourself first. And what comes with that too is just compartmentalizing. Just because you have a bad moment, that shouldn't just contribute to your whole day. I really, on the day that I had my presentation, I should have just compartmentalized that and just been like, you know what? We just had a slow start to the morning, because that may have helped my franticness on the way out, because it was really hard in that moment. Because I will say, I tried to keep the good morale once all that happened, but I was a little pissed off. So that did not happen in that one instance or a few instances. But that's the thing. You can't let one situation define your whole day. And I'll use another example. My sister, with the health stuff she's going through, she has blood work that she did, and apparently there's notes on it. And when there's notes on it, that's not really great. She has a doctor's appointment when we're supposed to be going to a bachelorette party this weekend. And my sister genuinely almost wanted to back out of the whole bachelorette trip because she is worried about getting news that's going to affect her whole mood. And I told her, I'm like, look, you can't miss out on life because you are nervous about being in a bad mood about something. If you get bad news about it, there's nothing you can do in that moment to change it, control it, fix it, or anything. It's going to be good that you're around people to distract yourself. And this is where the compartmentalizing comes in. What are your bare minimum goals that you need to be able to function every day? Because it gets to the point where days suck really bad, and I'm not kidding. As long as I get to sleep, I have my food, my water, and I'm getting my stuff done, we're going to keep on keeping on. You're going to have good weeks, you're going to have bad weeks. But on your survival weeks, it's okay if you're just focusing on eating and sleeping and maintaining. Because I didn't go to the gym at all last week. I was focused on being at training for work, eating, sleeping, and showing up in the way I had to. I didn't expect myself to go above and beyond. And that's the reason why I planned out my podcast. So we didn't have an episode out last week. I had to figure out what day was going to be our 100th episode, figured all this in. I'm like, you know what? My mind ain't gonna want to do it that week. So we planned around it. And exactly what I thought. All last week, I was in survival mode. Now, you can't live on survival mode forever. So keep that in mind. That's when you might need to go see help. You might want to go talk to somebody if you are in a continuous survival mode. I am not a mental health professional, as I always know. I am just a mental health advocate talking to you about my personal experiences. Want to note that. But that's the thing. Not every week should be survival mode. If you do have weeks where you are in that mode, that's okay. That is very okay. But like I said, if it is a common weekly thing, I think maybe going to seek out help could be beneficial for you, because you don't deserve to be in survival mode that much. You don't. You deserve better than that. And you can get it too. It just takes time, 1% every day. Now let's talk about the tools. What are things that you can do to protect your morale? So first thing that you can do is work on your circuit breaker, okay? Physical action resets your mental energy. So whether it's washing your face, taking a 5-minute walk, changing your outfit or clothes, we're basically finding a physical signal that is showing to your brain that the bad moment is over. My favorite thing to do after a long day is, I shower every day, but I take my little shower, wash my face, and put on my PJs. Putting my PJs on is my favorite time of the day. I take that back, my second favorite time. I love the morning time, but I tell you what, fresh set of PJs after a long day shows me, hey, we're safe. We're good. We got through the day. We can chill now. And it doesn't matter what that is for you, but for me, like I said, it's my shower and PJs. That gives me the indication that we're safe and we're okay and the bad moment's over, the bad day's done. But having that circuit breaker, having that physical thing you do that shows your brain, hey, it's over, we're okay. Or even deep breathing. That's something I'll do too. If I am like sensing an anxiety attack and something has already concluded and I've stepped away, my deep breathing and resetting my nervous system is another thing that I can do too, and something you could try as well. For our practical tools, number 2, flipping the prompt. And I was hitting on this earlier, but that is shifting your why is this happening to me to what is this telling me? You want to flip any negative thing that you tell yourself into a positive. And the thing that I love saying about this is at work, because with what I do, there's so much that goes on that I have zero control over. And you always hear like, oh, what's the worst that could happen? And if I'm being honest with you, I don't want to think about the worst. I would rather think more positively. So I have this sign on my desk and it says in like all of its cutesy letters, what's the best thing that could happen? And that right there is exactly what it means by saying flip the prompt. Instead of thinking negatively, put that positive spin on it. Because as soon as your day starts to go bad, if you are natural to just defaulting to a positive mindset, it's going to make it so much easier on the really, really shitty days. Especially too, I mean, muscle memory is everything. It's like for our organization at work, we beat into people's heads. Hey, this is what we do when a safety incident comes up. So when any employee gets a call from one of our field guys and they're like, hey, this happened, they have heard this so many times. It's just muscle memory. Okay, we do this, this, and this. It's the same thing with your mental health. Flip the prompt enough to where it becomes muscle memory. Because it will be hard at first. If you're not used to having this glass half full mindset, it takes a little bit of practice to make it that default setting. But I promise the more you train yourself to do it, the more you'll start seeing yourself go to a positive place versus the negative place. Now, our tool number 3, micro wins. We talk about this with our 1% getting better every day. The small victories, whether you're making your bed, whether you drink enough water for the day, or you completed this tiny 2-minute task. You folded all your laundry at lunch. That was my mini task today. I had so much laundry from my vacations I had not done yet. And so my goal today was to do it on my lunch break. And you know what? I'm proud of myself. It was weighing on me. I could not stop thinking about it. It was sitting in a corner in my room and it's done. That is my micro win for today. But along with a micro win, also giving yourself little things to look forward to as well. Yesterday, I had been out of the gym for 2 weeks. I was so excited to go do a glute day. I had my little outfit picked out and on the bed for when I got home. I was pumped. It was all I could think about. Or I'm a foodie. I will, especially if I want to celebrate anything, I normally celebrate with food, like birthdays, special events. I will think about what I'm going to have for dinner, and it will be what I look forward to all day. Like a few weeks ago, I was staying at my parents' house and all my family was out of town. We have this barbecue spot in Sedalia called Katie's. They have the best portobello mushrooms and prime rib sandwich. And I was like, I'm by myself. Nobody can watch me pig out. I can do it on my own, watch Love Island. I was so hyped. Something as small as that was what I look forward to through my busy, chaotic day. And it was perfect. The sandwich just hit the spot. So little things, maybe reading a book, maybe finally putting together the vision board you wanted to, or at least printing off the things for the vision board that you've been wanting to do. Something small to give yourself to look forward to, and then also counting those mini wins. I also make my bed every morning because I always look at that as a mini win. Like, if all else fails, at least I made my bed. Yeah, actually, that kind of made me think. It was funny. This past weekend, I was recovering from the long training week. And you know, when you go to work and everybody's like, oh, what'd you do over the weekend? I didn't do anything. But what I was telling my coworkers, my pops, who passed away a few years ago, he had this hot sauce recipe. So freaking good. If you take just the plain, like Ruffles, Lay's chips, and you dip it in the hot sauce and eat it, it's been my weakness to the point where I demolished a whole family bag of Lay's chips in less than 24 hours. So yeah, that was, I guess, a small win for me. Didn't think I could eat a whole bag of chips that quickly, but you know what? We are setting records. Now, number 4 on our tools of things we can do is protect the input that you are putting into your brain, okay? When you're already down, you don't need to add to the fire with doom scrolling or bad news or sad music. I am the queen of when I'm in a bad mood, I play the saddest songs. Now, sometimes I just want a good cry, okay? A good cry is good for all of us. Sometimes I kind of provoke it too, because I'm like, let's just get the good cry out of the way. But if, like, let's say you know that you're going into a day that's going to be really stressful, listening to sad, depressing, or just negative music, I mean, I don't know. If I have a day where I need to be in a good spot, I'm probably not listening to 21 Savage as much as I love 21 Savage. Or what's another, like, sad artist? Noah Kahan, I think he has sad music. I don't listen to him. My friends listen to him. I think Noah Khan's sad too. But yeah, you're not gonna listen to that on a day where you need to be on your game, you need to be pumped up, hyped up. I'm gonna be listening to Amy Winehouse. I'm gonna be listening to my 70s, 80s, 90s playlist, just jamming. That's the thing. And even like my social media. If I have a stressful day, I probably won't even get on social media, but if I am, I have gotten it to the point where I've filtered my feed to really only be, cooking, health, my friends and family that I want to see stuff with. I've really curated my feed to be positive just because I don't want to go on social media and have to avoid seeing things. So honestly, when it comes to just protecting my input, I do that all the time because, like I said, I really want to protect my peace, and you never know what will trigger you with what you see. So I just make that a precedent all day, every day. But, other things you can do is, listening to good music, listening to an upbeat podcast, reading a good book, or maybe reach out to a friend that has good vibes, schedule a lunch, just chat with them on the phone and catch up. I mean, you have to find the things that you will gravitate to that have that positive energy to it. Like I said, I'm a big music person. Some people are really big into art. Some people are really big in being active, and that might help them. There are so many different, I know mediums is art, like different mediums, but there's so many different things you can do that can help you gravitate towards more positivity. Now, for more of our tools, number 5, our grievance timer. It is so easy to spiral on something for a whole day, for a whole week, for a whole month, but this was part of the conversation of if it's happened in the past, there's nothing you can do to control it at this point. So, something that is really good to do, and this is something I do all the time, give yourself an allotted window to feel the feelings, because I am going to say right now, it's never good to suppress your feelings. You never should suppress your feelings, because if you suppress your feelings, they are going to come up at some point. Firm believer in it. So either you feel what you are feeling in its whole entirety now, or it's going to make you do it later when you might not want to. But literally, I'll give myself 5-10 minutes. Maybe I'll punch a pillow. Maybe I'll throw something. Maybe I'll scream. Maybe I need to go breathe. Maybe I need to go take a walk. There are so many things I will do when I just need to take a minute. Because it's like, okay, we have to accept what just happened. And that's what I tell myself. It's like, okay, we got to accept that this happened. When I found out we got double booked for the walkathon, yeah, we were a little salty. So that was the thing. In that moment, because I knew my friend did not want to listen to me talk about this all week or weekend. So that was the thing. When I found out the news, I told her, I'm like, look, can I vent to you for like 5 minutes and I promise I'll drop this? My friend, being the little angel she is, she's like, oh my gosh, you can talk about it whenever. But no, oh my gosh, I went ham. I went off. I snapped. My friend saw me just say everything I needed to feel better about the situation. And then right after that, we went to the beach and we had a great rest of our day. So it's necessary. It feels good, even if you say it to nobody. And I will say I'm at this point in my life where it does feel good to say it to somebody. Saying it to somebody definitely feels different than saying it to nobody. Just having someone listen to you makes all the difference. But use a timer. Have your 10-15 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Don't do over 30. Feel it for 30 minutes and then move on. Depends on the situation though. I was going to say, when you're grieving, there are certain things that you will go through that it is not that easy. But if it's something like I said, got double booked for my venue, didn't know if I could use it again. Girl, you let it out for 5 minutes and then let's move on with life. Now our next tool is our 5-5-5 perspective check. Okay. Another thing that you have to think about is something that is really affecting you right now in 5 minutes, in 5 days, in 5 weeks, in 5 months. It might not even matter. And another example with work, I think I've brought this up. There's a really big account. I basically have guys that work for me sitting at home waiting for me to call them about their next job. That next job was supposed to already have come, but it has not. I have been telling my guys for a long time, we're going to have this job. You're not going to be at home very long, yada, yada, yada. And that's not what is happening. I have been freaking out about this. Honestly, until I get all my guys back to work, I will probably be stressing about it. But, I am slowly getting everybody back, slowly finding jobs one by one for everybody. And when this kind of all hit its peak, that was something I told myself is we feel like we are drowning right now, but this time next week, we're not going to feel like we're drowning as much. A week from there, we won't be drowning as much. Because as that time goes on, One, we are going to be finding solutions, but two, it's not going to matter as time goes on. And that's what you have to tell yourself. If it's not going to matter in 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, reassess why you're giving this situation so much of your mental space. Now moving on to number 6, stigmatic grounding. We've talked about this last episode. Talk about touching grass. Go stand out in some grass. There are some posts that Mental Mixology made this past week that actually goes over the benefits of grounding. But basically, kind of the idea behind the stigmatic grounding is, in our bad days, our body is in a low grade fight or flight at all times. We don't realize that. So by trying the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique, you basically are noticing 5 things you see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, 1 you can taste. So basically you go outside, no shoes on, stand in the grass, and you don't go inside until you've identified all of those. Another thing you can do is box breathing. So you basically, in 4s, you're breathing. So breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for another 4, and continue. So those are really 2 great things to practice stigmatic grounding that can help calm your nervous system, or at least bring it back to its baseline. That is the goal. Then moving on to tool 8 is the friend test. So we talk to ourselves terribly on our bad days, but when you're talking to yourself very badly or negatively on a bad day, I want you to ask yourself, if my best friend came to me having the exact same day, what would I tell them? Because you would probably offer empathy or grace or support. And the funny thing about that is we don't give that same energy to ourselves. I am the queen, and my family and friends tell me this all the time. I am very good about preaching good messages and good tips and tricks, but I don't apply them to my life as much as I should. And that right there is something I think a lot of us can relate to. And this right here is a way you put that in perspective. Is when you're going through everything if you were to vent to somebody about it, think to yourself, like, if I had a friend telling me all this stuff, what would I tell them? How would I support them? And you have to remind yourself of those things too. Like, hey, you know what? You're doing your best. It's just a bad moment. It's not a bad day. Hey, you can buy another picture frame for your picture and you'll be fine. You'll put it back up. It'll be like it never happened. You have to do that friend test for yourself. And like we spoke about before, being that coach, being that person that holds yourself accountable when you start to spiral, when those bad days really start to hit home. And now moving on to our last tip is the dump and distance technique. So when your head feels crowded with frustrations, get a piece of paper and write down every single thing bugging you without filtering any of it. By getting this out of your head and onto paper, it tricks your brain into feeling like it's been handled or externalized in some way. And to be honest, this works. And I say this works is because I do this in a way when I'm really anxious, when I have a lot going on, a really big to-do list. By writing it out, it's like, okay, I now visualize all the things I have to get done. So that way, hopefully I don't miss anything, but it allows me to gain that control back and be like, okay, I'm in control of this, not my head. And that's the same thing you're doing when you're dumping your thoughts out. It's like you're making your to-do list, because then you can go back through and see and be like, okay, that's stupid. That's irrelevant. That's actually a good thought and a reasonable worry. But you can go through and see what is taking so much of your mental space. Because then, like I said, it does trick your brain into being like, okay, like, it's been handled. We wrote it down. It's fine. So it's not something that will work for everybody, but it does work for me. It can work for you at some capacity. You just have to try these things. And it's not try it once and be like, oh, yep, that didn't work. What? You rode your bike once, fell off, and you're like, I'm not going to try this again. No, it takes time. You got to ride it a couple times. You got to get a little bit more confident. You got to get your balance. Same thing with all of these techniques with your mental health. You have to do it a couple times. You have to get your brain kind of in the groove of like, oh, okay, we can do this. And that's how you start to see the benefit. So I hope that I've given you guys some tips today on how to better take control of your bad days, because it is really easy to just, when the day starts to go bad, just be like, we're going to throw this all in the shitter and just start over tomorrow. But no, you don't need to do that. There's 24 hours in the day. There's so much availability, so much space to add positivity to the negative things that happen to you by focusing on what you can control, on the things you can't control, focusing on, hey, let's tell ourselves it's going to be a positive day. So our brain is looking to find positive facts to prove that instead of negative ones. It's very little things that you do. And if you do it 1% every day, you practice it a little and little every day or every time something bad happens, it's going to become your default setting. It's going to become easier. And I will say there are going to be events in life that, yeah, it's probably going to be a bad week, a bad month. There are those moments that it will happen. I'm not going to say that. But for the little things that create so much noise in your head, that is what we have to gain control over. So I really hope that you take something away from this episode today. Please remember, if you or anybody you know is in a mental health crisis, please call or text the number 888. We have our mental health resource hub on mentalmixology.org, both a national and a local one for our folks in the mid-Missouri area. And please, if you like the podcast, give us a rating. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. Yeah, give us a rating. I'm trying to get our ratings up. So if you have listened to us and you have like 5 seconds to just give us some stars or leave a comment, it would be much, much, much appreciated. Thank you, everybody, for listening and tuning into another episode of Mental Mixology. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to one another, and we will be back with more episodes next week.